Welcome in to a new episode of Another Footy Podcast. And I'm joined by, well, I'm actually not joined by anyone today. Jack's unfortunately under the weather, and Baxter, who knows where that guy is anymore. So I'm running solo today. So if I'm the one you least enjoy, I suggest you turn it off now. but yeah, I hope you guys have been good. Another tough weekend sport wise. Another tough weekend NRL wise. Tigers stinking her up as usual, but we've become accustomed to it. We're just used to it by now, so we just jump straight into it. So the round that was, my team of the round was the Sydney Roosters, and I have to say, I genuinely think that was like the best defensive display I've seen of any team in a very, very long time. They pretty much repelled everything that the Penrith threw at them, albeit they did get a consolation try. Um, they have that premiership winning defense back, which is, probably the most important thing for them. It was that defense that we saw when they went back to back, I believe, in 2018 and 2019. It was that sort of similar defensive pattern, defensive system, and it was fully on display again against Penrith. I think that the resilience they showed, Penrith had a lot of time spent down in their 20, and repeated six agains, repeated penalties, and they just kept repelling them. No matter what Penrith threw at them, they just kept turning them away, and it was a big win for the Roosters mentally wise, like mentality wise, because they've sort of struggled to get past Penrith and Melbourne, I believe, under Trent Robinson, or like since 2020, sorry. I think the stat before coming into the game, it was 1-13. That was their record against Penrith since 2020. So it was a big victory for them, especially leading up into the finals. And now they're sitting comfortable on first place. The Roosters, they're first now. They overtook Penrith, so it was a pretty big result for them. And I believe now with the Warriors beating Brisbane, they are tied first. The Roosters, Penrith and Warriors are tied first. Let me just double check that actually. No, sorry. The Roosters are on 38 and Penrith and the Warriors are on 36. My apologies. But yeah, my team of the round for round 24 was the Sydney Roosters. My worst team of the round, it was the Brisbane Broncos. Suncorp used to be a fortress, and now it just seems like whoever gets up there just comes away with the result quite easily. I think I've seen something that I think Nathan Cleary and now Mitch Barnett have more wins at Suncorp this season than the Broncos do. So correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, man, it's not a good stat to have. Not sure what's going on with the Broncos, man. I'm not sure if it's like ego or personality. They just got like too many rock stars in the team or something, but they look a shell of their former selves. They're just um letting in tries at will. They're not turning up for each other. There's some poor performances out there happening from key guys. I think Ezra Mann has had a really poor season. Shibasaki, he's showing that last year was the outlier where he had a really good season last year. I think this year he's really fallen off a cliff. And he's been struggling really bad. Tom Duffy had a bit of a poor game at halfback. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just play Ben Hunt in the 7 jersey. I'm not too sure. Reese Walsh copped an injury and is gone for the rest of the season, so it's never good for the Broncos. And you can just tell, like, that they're broken. The playing group, they're struggling for confidence at the moment. And you can see that in defense, because defense, of course, defensive systems are important. But personally, I feel like defense, a lot of it is to do with just attitude and, like, just turning up for your teammates and the will to just, get the job done and repel the opposition. And that's why you can see, like, they're not sort of defending for each other. They're trying to defend individually, and that's what happens. Like, players, they make defensive reads and they don't defend as a team. They just defend individually. And, a system like that's never going to work. And I think we're seeing that with the Broncos. And, it was a bit of an interesting conversation, right? I believe on during the week last week, was it Michael Carrianos or someone? I don't know. I think they were doing a podcast on Triple M or something like that, and they were saying that you know has Payne Haas's departure had like a psychological effect on the team, and it's interesting when you look at it because we know that Jerome Luai um, left the Tigers to sign with, didn't leave the Tigers mid year, but he signed with the Papua New Guinea Chiefs for 2028 during the season. And the Tigers were 5-2 up until that point, and we've all seen what's happened since then. Obviously, I'm not blaming Jerome Luai for that slide, but I think now can you sort of question whether these sort of things they impact the team because Jerome Luai is a big personality in that West Tigers dressing room. He's a leader, he's a big figure, and just like Payne Haas, he's the best forward in the game by a country mile. Um, and him announcing that he's leaving the Broncos at the start of the year. He still had a full season to play out with the Broncos. Did that have a psychological effect on them, on that playing group? They just, one of the biggest personalities in that dressing room had decided, this was going to be my last year. And, it's hard for a playing group, when you're losing a player like that and you're losing the leader like that, does it have an effect? Does it have an effect on the playing group? And, does arguments happen and sort of question, do people sort of question things in their own mind in regards to all of that? It's hard. It's a tricky one, but it's some food for thought. So it's interesting. My player of the round, it was long neck. Daily Cherry Evans, man. I think games like that on Thursday are the reasons why they probably signed Daly Cherry Evans. They needed someone to stand up, and he did exactly that, man. 2 tries to win the Roosters the game. I think both that first try, especially, the way he stepped off the line and took the pen of defense on, man. It's just vintage DCE, man. And at the age he got, anyone who knows me personally, always never sort of really like Daly Cherry Evans, to be honest, but I never let that get in my opinion of how good a player actually is. And Daly Cherry Evans, man, he's a bloody good player. And yeah, he showed that again on Thursday. Like I said, man, just stood up when the Roosters needed him, and he's done that many times for Manly, done that for Queensland, done that for the Kangaroos, and I think the Roosters, they're coming good at the right time of the year, and you never know. Ches might be going out of the NRL with a bang, with a potential ring, a second ring. So it's interesting to see. Will be interesting to see for sure. Our fan voted player of the round was Daly Cherry Evans as well. So we're all in unanimous agreement. And yeah, I wonder if it was Jack's player of the round too, because you guys seem to agree with Jack every week. So we'll jump straight into the week's biggest headline. So Kelma Tuolangi, he has signed a 1-year deal to head back to Melbourne. And we see what happens when players like this go into that elite Melbourne system. If he can fix his defense, he'll be a gun. he'll be elite in that system, and it's interesting. Makes you wonder whether there's still sort of question marks over the future of Eli Katoa, and if he'll be returning to rugby league at all. But yeah, no, like I said, coming to Olangi. So I'm back at Melbourne with a 1 year deal, and he'll probably end up being one of the best back rowers in the comp. Because he's very good in attack. Like he knows how to hit a hole. He's a very good line runner, very good hole runner, but he's just very very bad defensively. But yeah, like I said, man, that Melbourne system, it's pretty elite. Shino Harris Tavita, he extended with the Wars till the end of 2029. So I think he extended earlier on the year on a 1 year deal, and then now he's extended again. Yeah, see, here we go. It says one New Zealand Warriors playmaker, Shino Harris Tavita, has signed a second contract extension in less than 3 months. Yeah, so he signed a 1 year extension not too long ago, and he's just put pen to paper that sees him sign an extension for another 2 years on top of that. So he's at the Wars for the next 3 years. I personally think that's a very, very good re-signing. He's probably in the form of his career. In my opinion, I think he's been the form 5'8" of the comp this year. I think he's been really, really good. He's complemented, he's sort of chopped and changed halves quite a bit this season with obviously started with Tanner Boyd and then Tamari Martin, Luke Metcalf. They've all had their own problems with injuries this season. And when Luke Metcalf went down again on Saturday, I think he did his hammy. Chanel Harris Tavita, I think he stepped up beautifully and sort of took control of the game and took control of that Warriors team and done a brilliant job, man. And like I said, yeah, I think he's been the best 5'8" all year in the comp. And wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the Dalian player or sorry, the Dalian 5'8" of the year, in my opinion. Because yeah. Um apologies. I'm just gonna have a quick hydration break. Sorry, the throat's feeling a bit scratchy. Okay, so moving on. Um, Josh Papali announces retirement. So I believe he he didn't want to play for any other NRL club from Canberra, and I don't think he wanted to move overseas. So I guess he's finally decided to call it time on his career, and what a career it's been. Um, he's played for his countries. I believe he's represented Australia and Samoa. Played for his state. Played multiple Origin tests. He came out of retirement last year. I remember in last year's Origin, and he played fucking awesome. Um, he's been a long time servant for Canberra. Probably go down as one of their greatest ever players, one of their greatest ever forwards, and yeah, it's been a pretty damn good career from Josh Papali. So all the best for the future ahead, and good luck to whatever he chooses to do in the future. But yeah, Josh Papali's announced his retirement. Jet Cleary has asked for a release from Mount Compassionate Ground Stadium. And, Jet Cleary has asked for a release to join Penrith. I mean, I don't think anyone's really surprised here, right? But it's interesting, I've seen a lot of debate online about whether it'll be Jet's last sort of sorry, whether it'll be Nathan, like what's this got to do with the future of Nathan? Um, is Nathan he does just want to play one last year with his brother and dad and then leave Penrith? Personally, I think that Nathan will stay at Penrith, and I think this is only gonna sort of help solidify that. Nathan, I think he's won comps with his dad for the last couple of years. Why not try and win comps with his brother now for the next sort of 4 to 5 years, and then keep Penrith on the top of the mountain with his brother instead of his dad? I think it'd be a good challenge for them both. And I don't see the Warriors having any, sort of hesitation to release Jet back to the Penrith. I mean, I think they have a pretty good relationship between the two clubs, and Ivan probably would have said that Webster's probably one of the best guys to sort of develop Jet, and I think both parties probably knew this is where it would come to in the end. So I don't think there's sort of any friction or tension between the clubs. Casey McLean has re-signed with Penrith till the end of 2030. I think that's again another awesome re-signing. He'll probably be the best center in the comp in a couple of years. I mean, it's pretty scary how good he is, and he's only, I believe, let me just do a quick Google search. He's still only 20. So it's really scary to think how good he's actually going to be in a couple of years. And, you'll probably be seeing him in a Blues jersey for many years to come. He came on the field in game one and was a fucking elite. Like, looked like one of our best players instantly when he came on and made a instant impact, an instant difference. So, no, it's very, very good signing from Penrith and a key guy for them to lock in. Billy Slater, he couldn't handle losing to Laurie Daly, so he's decided to cut it out and step down as Queensland. In all seriousness, Billy Slater is stepped down as Maroons head coach. I think he done good, pretty good job, especially considering the circumstances that led to his appointment as the coach. Um, it'll be interesting to see who their next coach is. I believe Cameron Smith was floated to someone, but he's withdrawn from the race. So I think it will most likely come down to two candidates, probably Ben Teo or Matt Ballin. But I think Billy Slater can sort of, hold his head high. I think he did a good job as Queensland coach. Won a couple of series and done his state proud. It'll be interesting, I think next year is Bellamy's last year. So did he want to give himself like a break and just, chill for a year before becoming the head coach of the Melbourne in 2028? Some food for thought, some questions to ask. And speaking on Penrith and the outside backs again, the Penrith have extended Paul Alamotti till the end of 2029. I believe he was free to speak to other clubs from November 1. So yeah, it was good from Penrith to get this done, especially they've locked up Alamotti and McLean now, two key guys in their backline with the news of Bizza going to PNG. So good business from Penrith. And I think Alamotti, he's really excelled in that system since coming across from the Bulldogs, and it just shows how elite Penrith are, man. They just get the best out of players. And Alamotti, he was a very hype player in the juniors. If you're well in the know about your juniors and all that sort of stuff. Very highly touted that the Bulldogs came in with a lot of hype, but that first year he did kind of struggle in the NRL. But once Ivan picked him up, man, he worked his magic, and look at him now. And I believe he's still young as well, man. He's only like 22, 23. So, his best years are yet to come himself, which is scary for the rest of the league, considering, yeah, how young Alamotti and McLean actually are. Speaking of Jerry Evans earlier, he has signed with Hull FC for next year. So this is officially Chez's last year in the NRL, and he's heading to the UK Super League next year. So farewell, Jerry Evans. Farewell, my friend. This one came as a bit of a surprise. As a bit of a surprise. Murray Taulagi has signed with French rugby. I believe the Cowboys signed him originally from rugby union, so he played rugby union growing up and was like pretty pretty highly touted. And then the Cowboys pinched him from union, but it was a bit of a shock considering like he was being heavily linked with the Roosters lately. So yeah, it was just a bit of a surprise, but you can sign for French rugby, tour the world, tour Europe, and earn a lot more money doing it than playing in the wing in the NRL. So why not? Good on him. Sam Walker, contract talks between the Roosters and his manager broken down. He's set to head to November 1 and test himself on the open market. I think this upcoming November 1 is probably going to be the craziest one we've ever seen, considering that amount of talent that hits the free market and can talk to rival clubs. He's going to be an absolute frenzy. And I believe Sam Walker, he's asking for 1.7 million, I think it was a season. The Roosters, they only wanted to pay, I think 1.2, 1.3. To be honest, I think 1.7 is a bit much. I know the cap's going up and all that sort of stuff, but I mean, he could do sign for 1.2, 1.3, then with ratchet clauses. I'm not sure, but 1.7. I mean, it's not like he's sort of achieved much in the game. I mean, that sort of money, you could only really sort of reserve it for someone like Nathan Cleary. He's only made his Origin debut this year. Sam Walker. He hasn't won a comp. He hasn't really like being in Dally M conversations or nothing like that. Like he's a bloody good player, don't get me wrong, but I just think until you sort of really reach those big heights in the NRL, like you can't really sort of demand that sort of coin, you know what I mean? So yeah, contract talks between Sam Walker and the Roosters are broken down, and November 1 is going to be very interesting. Unfortunately, we did not have any audience questions for the week, but as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and feel free to ask questions whenever you want. Sorry, so that's that. No controversy corner this week because I'm riding solo tonight, and I'm not going to debate myself. So have me looking like the guy from American Psycho. Not sure if you guys have seen that movie, but it's a damn good one. Um, my tips are round 25. Can't believe it's round 25. I can't believe there's only three more rounds of the regular season to go, man. Like I can't believe how the hell does the time go so quick? But we do got rugby league for a bit longer this year with Rugby League World Cup, which I think starts 2 weeks after the grand final and lasts till about like the end of November or something. So we do have rugby league to keep us occupied for a longer time this year. So that's always fun, and keen to watch the Rugby League World Cup and potentially head out to a couple games. That should be fun. But yep, so I think I got 4 out of 8 last round. Not my best round. Hoping to bounce back this week. I'm actually leading in two tipping comps. So yeah, it could potentially be a good time coming into the season. They are cash comps, so hopefully hopefully we can hold on for the next 3 rounds. But my tips for the round, so I've tipped Penrith to beat Melbourne. Um I've tipped Canberra to beat the Broncos, tipped the Dolphins to beat the Eels, tipped the Knights to beat Manly. I have tipped the Warriors to beat Souths, although if I'm being honest, I actually am a bit 50-50 on that one. I don't know why. I just have this gut feeling that like South might turn up and get a big upset, get a sneaky result. The Dragons and the Bulldogs, look, This was another tough one for me. I'm being honest, but I've actually gone the Dragons. These tips they are subject to change, of course, but I've backed the Dragons in that one. The Titans and the Sharks. I've gone the Sharks. I think they'll bounce back. I think they also got an Adam Fanor Blake back this week, so he's a big inclusion for them, of course. And Roosters and Tigers. I've gone the Roosters, man. And just looking at it here, the Roosters are $1.06 favorites. So, oh man, I think that might be an ugly one. Um, Potentially, Roosters could break their own record this season of 80 points. That's how bad it could get. So, not looking forward to that one. Should I watch it? I might just decide to be busy that time. I don't know. Do I really want to put myself through that pain? Maybe because I am a masochist, but that's it for this week, guys. Bit hard to sort of keep along when I'm writing solo, but gave it my best shot. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys don't get too bored of my voice in the future. Too sick of me. But as always, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week. Adios.